Hello class, so today we're going to be talking about inequalities. To begin, we want to discuss the difference between inequalities and equations. So inequalities, in is opposite or negative pretty much of equality, so they're not equal. Equal or equations are equal, so you have an equal sign and you have a left and a right. Inequalities, they are not equal. So one side is either greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. I might have mentioned this in class before. My grade 2 teacher have said that this is the opening of an alligator's mouth and it's eating from the bigger side. So I personally, because of that experience and that's how I learned it, I always look at the opening is the mouth eating from the larger side. So I don't really think of the words associated with the shape of the inequality: greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. So really that just depends on the sentence when you read it out. And of course we have talked about equations in the past. Let's look at a couple of examples here. So drivers must be at least 16 years of age. So when you have a question like this and then when it representing using inequalities, so let's say drivers, let's write D for driver. So if we have drivers D and we say at least 16 years of age. So when you see the word at least, that's very similar to what we have this here, the less than 16. So that means, what do you think now? Is the driver's age, so you can say driver's age, age is D. Okay, so if driver's age is D, do you think D is greater than or less than 16? So that's the question you always want to ask yourself before you draw it. A lot of people get confused and say, well, at least that means the less sign. And that's why I don't like to use those terms or these to memorize these shapes. When you define your variable and you write your number, you want to see, is the age greater than or less than 16? So in this case, we're going to see that it is actually greater than. Think of 17. Always think of an example. Is 17 is an age for a driver? Yes, it is. So you know it's going to be greater than. But at least, so be careful about that. So you always want to ask yourself, if you are using equal to or just greater than or less than. So you always want to see if you have an equal to sign also. So drivers, could the driver be 16 according to the statement? Yes, you can, because at least 16, so 16, yes, is an acceptable age. So you want to put in that extra equal sign, line for an equal sign. Okay, let's look at another example before we finish this. So here is an example that I came up with, thinking of warmer weather. So the temperature in August goes up to 35 degrees Celsius. So in this example here, using a different color. So the temperature, let's say temperature, you don't have to say in August or whatever. You don't have to be more, when you're doing these kind of problems, you don't have to be too descriptive. If you can, if you want to, but you don't have to. So temperature, let's give it the letter T. And we have a number here, 35. So we know T and 35 degrees Celsius if you want, but whatever. You don't need to put that in. But based on that, it goes up to 35 degrees. So let's ask ourselves, if it goes up to 35, could the temperature be less than 35? So if the temperature is 30, does that agree with the statement? If somebody tells you in Halifax temperatures go up to 35 and you wake up August 2nd and you say, well, the temperature is 30, does that contradict the statement? No, it doesn't. So that tells us that it is actually T is less than 35. The other thing you want to look at is the equal sign. If it goes up to 35, is 35 included? Yes or no? So if you wake up and it says 35 on August 4th, does that make the statement wrong? If it goes up to 35, so 35 is included. So you would put that equal sign also. I also want to draw your attention to this. The number matters. So in this case, we wrote the variable, then the number. What if you write the number and then the variable? So if you have, for the top example, you have 16. You're one of those people who says 16, and then the D, which also represents driver's age. Which way is it going to be? So still, D is the mouth is going to be open towards the letter, or the variable, not the number. So if you start with the number, if you reverse the number and the variable, you are also going to reverse the sign or the inequality. So in this case, the driver's age is going to be larger than 16, and the equal sign also follows. And in this case, the same applies. So if you want to put 35 degrees Celsius and temperature, if you start it this way, then you will also use the same thing. The opening is towards the bigger number in this case here, which is the 35 degrees Celsius. And let's test the statement. So if you wake up with a temperature of 37, you say, is 37 less than 35? No, it's not. So if you put 37 here, for example, that would make it an incorrect inequality, because 35 is not larger than 37. If you pick something like 2, that would be terrible for August, but a temperature of 2, that would agree. That would not make the statement wrong. It would just be a terrible day in August. Have a good day.